Welcome into WYC's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced along with the Rapidian, a hyperlocal news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up is all about bringing you diverse perspectives from community leaders and interesting people throughout West Michigan. It's WYCE station manager Phil Tower, and I am thrilled to be in studio this week with this episode with John Cox, fashion design and teaching artist with WMCAT. That's the West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology, and online at wmcat.org. We have a very exciting event coming up in, if I did the addition correctly, 12 days from now is the WMCAT Fashion Show, the annual WMCAT Student Fashion Showcase happening May 7th at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. And the maestro of this fashion show, is that a good term for you?
I'll take it.
You'll take it? It's good to have you in studio, and it's great to have you here, John.
Thank you.
You and I had to move mountains to schedule this to get it to happen, and I'm glad we could, because this is a special thing. I read you've been with WMCAT. I want to get a little personal here. Since 2008. That's really remarkable.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely love it there.
Did you know when you were like thinking about what you wanted to do? I know art's been probably a core of who you are.
Yes.
For your whole life. You've run your own businesses. You've done a lot of things. What attracted you to WMCAT almost 20 years ago?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've owned several businesses of my own, primarily in like the arts industry and mostly in design. Mm-hmm. And I decided to take a couple-year break in Japan, and where I studied additional background in textile design. And when I came back, I decided to move back to Grand Rapids afterwards, and ended up landing this job at WMCAT first as an assistant to their previous textile fiber arts instructor, and they left for a different position, and I ended up taking over the fiber arts program. And most of our students, we work with primarily Grand Rapids high school students, and listening to them, they really wanted to know a lot more about fashion and fashion design. And I do have a little bit of background in fashion, primarily costume designing. And I thought, well, I can do this. I have a lot of background in that. And so we formed together West Michigan Center for Arts and Technology's Fashion Design Studio. And that's been going on for about 16, 17 years. And I have the pleasure of working with really creative students and other teaching artists in other areas of art, such as music production, which is part of our fashion show this year, photography, video production, ceramics, graphic arts. It's just an incredible place. So I've worked with youth and teens before WMCAT as volunteer, mostly with the Cooperative Extension Service here in Grand Rapids, and I knew I could work with youth, and the longer I work with them, I absolutely love my students. They're just an amazing bunch of people that are so innovative, so creative. I can't wait to get to work every day, so I think I found my niche.
I love it. And you know what's cool about that is you and I are older than teenagers, just for the for the sake of this radio program. It's really easy to diss on younger generations, but we get to work. In fact, we just finished working with WMCAT students, Brandon Copeland students, for another radio in the classroom, and they produce their own radio show, which actually happened to air earlier today, using some of the music that's going to be featured in the Textured Dreams WMCAT Student Fashion Showcase on May 7th. I got a tough question for you, John Cox, as fashion design and teaching artist with WMCAT. When you look at these kids, especially at the beginning of the year, these fashion artists, do you get a sense for knowing which ones kind of are naturals versus the ones you think you're going to have to kind of guide along a little bit more? I mean, I guess what I want to ask is, have you discovered there are some students who just have a natural eye and feel for fashion, and then some you got to kind of teach it into them?
Not actually. they know what they're getting themselves into. I do have a few that do kind of say, "Oh, yeah, this is a little too complex for me," and they may leave to a different media. But I think every single student I've ever taught, whether it's in fashion or anything, has creativity within them. Even if they've never picked up a paintbrush or anything, we all have it. It's just allowing ourselves to discover it and open up and not being afraid to let it out.
Yeah, I like that. So they start with a blank sketch for the unenlightened, and that's me, the guy talking to you on the radio. Plus a lot of people listening to us on WICE. For the unenlightened, how does something that these students will wear for the WMCAT Student Fashion Showcase at the Grand Rapids Art Museum on May 7th, how does it start from a sketch to something that's sewn together and something that someone will wear in a fashion show? Can you, and we only have a few minutes, but can you just kind of give us a quick walkthrough of how that happens?
Probably need a month to explain, but real brief, as fast as I can. First, the students select the topic of what our show is going to be about. And this year, we've never done this before. They wanted to focus on things that make them happy and relaxation. So we're kind of focusing a lot about self-care at this day and age. And they decided to go with fashion designing pajamas, which we've never done before.
I love it.
I do too. It threw me for a loop. They chose raincoats for environmental topic one year, and this year they did pajamas. So with that, we work with the Grand Rapids Art Museum's curatorial staff, and we tell them what our topic is. And generally, the curatorial staff will go around their permanent collection and usually select about 8 to 12 art objects within the permanent collection. And then the students will go and look at those and then use those as do thumbnail sketches, pick one that they really like. However, this year, first time we've done it in a long time, we let the students select their own art object within the collection. And then the curatorial staff worked with them by getting the background information in each painting. So, real quick, they do what we call thumbnail sketches while we're in the museum. So they allow our students to take paper and pencils only and do quick thumbnail sketches. And they're allowed to take photographs with their cell phone as long as there's no flash. And then we bring those thumbnail sketches back to WMCAT. We do what we call croquis drawings, which are like figure drawings of body shape. And they take the ideas and they draw that onto the croquis form and usually color it in. From there, they select a model. They either model it themselves or they have a friend or we find a model for them. We take the measurements, and from that, we take their drawings, the measurements, and we either do what a fashion thing called draping, where we lay strips of fabric over a dress form, and we pin it on and cut it to the shapes of what the image is, but it's not the fabric we would use. It's just to create a pattern. Or we draft patterns, which is just like an architect would draft a plan for a home. We draft basically a pattern to fit a three-dimensional moving body. So it's pretty complex, but my kids get it. They're wonderful. From there, we figure out what our cost is going to be for the outfit. So each student gets $30 to go to Fields Fabric, and they select the fibers and fabrics and notions that they need to build the outfit with, and we bring that back. We start cutting, we do fittings, and we call it construction. And right now we're almost into our last week of construction, which falls into what we call rush week, when we're getting ready to put the show together. Sure. We're meeting with, oh my gosh, it takes a year to put the show together. There's so much behind the scenes, but we're working with Brandon, who's producing the music for our show this year. We work with Video, who does our video for the show. Photography, we do a professional photo shoot after the show. Very cool. Then we do our whole production at the Gram.
And it's called Textured Dreams, yes. Primarily because of a lot of different textures with these pajamas. Yes. Okay, yep. Very cool.
They do have criteria for the design. Each season we pick like 3 to 5 things that it must have. And this year it was a spring collection that must have some form of texture, which could be like appliques, which is what we appliques, anything applied to the feel of the fabric. and the texture, the fabric, spring. Oh, and it needs to be like in pastel colors and vintage style. So we can't do contemporary style. We have to follow vintage style.
Very nice. The fashion studio and your work with these students, this is teaching skills beyond sewing. I mean, it's really got to be a confidence builder as well, too.
Oh,
you
gosh.
see that happen?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. This is really interesting. A lot of people don't realize how much science and mathematics are involved with the arts.
Oh, yes.
And,
I can imagine, John.
And sometimes we dye the fibers. Actually, we had one piece that they hand dyed all of the fiber, and we had to figure out like the mixtures of the dye, the volume, the weight, in order to get it just the right color that the student wanted. And then, so we have a dye lab at WMCAT. We have, the full sewing studio with professional sewing machines and dress forms. It's an incredible place, and the kids are like amazing. They come in, and I usually the first week I'm like, how many of you like math or science? And some will kind of raise their hand. And I said, all right, and I don't say anything more. But midterm, I'm like, you guys realize how much measurements you're doing? How much how much science and math you're using? And they're like, huh. And then here we go.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really cool. John Cox is with us. He is fashion design teaching artist with WMCAT. We're talking about Textured Dreams, WMCAT's upcoming student fashion showcase. It's happening Thursday, May 7th at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. WMCAT.org to learn more. WMCAT.org. This is open to the public before we run out of time. Tell us how people can make sure they're there. Is there a ticket they need to buy? Give us the lowdown here, John.
There is no ticket. It is free to the public. The Grand Rapids Art Museum on Thursday evenings is free from 5 to 8 p.m.
Awesome.
So we encourage you to stay after the show to get a look at the museum and the collection. So the hardest part is finding a place to park.
But the neat thing about this is after the fashion show, I'm sure you can, if you're there, talk with the students.
Oh, yes.
And just kind of take in the glow and the energy of a lot of pride, a lot of people really excited for showing off some really creative works. It's going to be very, very cool. If you've never been to one of these fashion shows, it's highly recommended. We're excited that we had a chance to work with the WMCAT students that created some of the music for the runway, which is really cool. And it's just really come together beautifully. Again, it's Textured Dreams, WMCAT Student Fashion Showcase, and the guy who's going to bring all of this to life with the students. How many students, by the way, John?
This year we have 15.
That's a lot of students. And they are all going to have something in the show?
They are. It's also including our winter collection. And we also have a capstone collection. One of our seniors who's been at WMCAT for 4 years studying fashion is graduating and going on into fashion. And we're excited to, a capstone is when they're going to show like their portfolio collection at the show.
That's Lulu Nygaard. We want to shout her out on the radio here. So congratulations, Lulu. And what do we say? Break a leg for
no,
the show? No.
I
Okay,
wouldn't.
Good luck. We'll say good luck.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big deal for showcasing 4 years of work.
Oh, yeah.
And very, very exciting. I'm so glad that we could talk about this and let our listeners know about this, because we have so many cool things in West Michigan. It's just wonderful to see something like this that, this isn't going to draw 5,000 people, but that's not the purpose. It's going to draw people who really have an appreciation, not only for fashion, but for people doing what you're doing. So I just want to celebrate that and congratulate you. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
John Cox, fashion design teaching artist with WMCAT. And again, the WMCAT Student Fashion Showcase is coming up in 12 more days, Thursday, May 7th at Graham at the Grand Rapids Art Museum. You can learn more on the WMCAT website, which is wmcat.org, WMCAT.org. And you've been listening to WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program, produced in partnership with the Rapidian, a hyperlocal news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. I'm Phil Tower, station manager at WYCE. We'll see you next week.